It's the spookiest time of the year that doesn't involve paying a disturbing amount of money to the IRS, and that means Family Guy is back with another Halloween special. Last year, we took a look at the special Peter Pumpkin Cheater, which we thought had its moments, but was ultimately missing that certain je ne sais that Halloween episodes should have. So how did this special stack up in comparison? Let's talk about it. Titled A Little Fright Music, the episode is split into two different plots, one following Peter and Chris lying to Lois so they can go trick-or-treating, and another following Brian and Stewie as they try to write the next great Halloween song. But let's start with the latter side plot.
How many times do we have to hear Monster Mash? I guess there aren't any other Halloween songs.
He's got a point. We have a ton of Halloween-adjacent songs like the Ghostbusters theme or Don't Fear the Reaper, as Brian mentions, but not many others written specifically for the holiday. Now that's the diamond mine someone needs to crack through. Also, what really is a Monster Mash? Is it a party? A dance? A sneaky innuendo for the Wolfman and Dracula getting it on? Oof, suddenly that song got a lot more terrifying. And after hearing that song over and over again, Stewie decides it's time for a change.
We should write a new Halloween song. We could be rich.
An admirable thought, but they must be forgetting how poorly their musical endeavors have gone in the past. It didn't work in The Boys in the Band, it didn't work in Brian Sings and Swings, and I'm not entirely convinced singing about ghouls and goblins is gonna turn out much better. Especially considering the musical talents they're working with here.
Halloween, Halloween, happy Halloween. Whoa, kinda catchy, right?
Yeah, the guy who wrote Jingle Bells thought the same thing. But ripping off good songs is just part of the music industry's blood. Sure, it might get you sued and/or shot, but that's a small price to pay so you can make 56 cents off of Spotify. So the duo decides to sit down and start penning out their Halloween hit. Just remember, there are no bad ideas.
I thought we could start with words that rhyme with Halloween. No, bad idea, very bad.
That might actually be the only bad idea in existence. That's just the kind of lyrical genius you should come to expect when the mind behind Faster Than the Speed of Love is holding the pen. Stewie then proceeds to refer to Brian as the Andrew Ridgeley of their duo. And for those of you who don't know their 80s pop history, he was the guy in Wham who wasn't George Michael. You know, the one everyone still talks about. If that wasn't painful enough, Stewie then suggests that they should be writing a rap song.
My name is Stewie, and I'm here to say, everybody have a happy Halloween day.
Ignoring the fact that nobody says Halloween Day, Stewie's committing the cardinal sin of animation. Never do a rap. Never. Just don't do it. It's never been a good idea, and I don't think he's gonna change that. Thankfully, they quickly move on from that and focus on the most important part of any musical duo, the rumors about whether or not they're dating. They've been a group for a whole 3 minutes, and rumors are already starting to circulate. Then again, Brewy's been a thing for a hot minute. And yes, their ship is called Brewy, and yes, we're lurking on that side of the internet so that you don't have to. But after all that messing around, Brian finally lands on a halfway decent idea.
What if we did like We Didn't Start the Fire, but just naming Halloween candies?
Yeah, why start being original now? Good luck coming up with something that rhymes with chiclets. And good luck finding anyone alive who actually liked that stuff. If you aren't handing out Reese's or Sour Patch Kids, you might as well just be spitting in my face. And that sounds like enough brainstorming to warrant buying a very fancy and very expensive recording setup.
Can't put a price on perfection, Bri, but if you could, it would be $9,418.
All that money for a song you'll only want to listen to 1 month out of the year. What happened to the days of recording your stuff in a closet, surrounded by coats? By this point, the plot kinda starts meandering a bit, lining up some decent jokes, but not really pushing the story too far ahead. Where are the usual plot points you see in musical biopics? The highs, the lows, the eventual breakup that either leads to a heartwarming reunion or a one-way ticket to rehab. Well, Stewie's kind of fast-tracking that last one by introducing his muse.
That's Satsuki. I need her to be here, but I assure you it will not impact our process in any way.
Look, you don't get to be as big as John Lennon without your Yoko Ono. My only questions now are how quickly will she make Brian and Stewie break up, what kind of weird experimental music will they make together, and what classic book will the guy who tries to kill Stewie be carrying? But they've gone through all this nonsense and still don't have a song to show for it, so Brian figures this would be a good time to cut his losses and leave.
I really thought you and I could have some fun doing this, Stewie, but now the whole thing has just turned into a nightmare. Wait, say that again.
Stewie really hit him with the Miles Teller Fantastic Four meme. It turns out all great ideas come from just saying something innocuous that actually turns out to be genius. Like when Freddie Mercury said his stomach was feeling like a Bohemian Rhapsody after eating some bad chicken. History was made. And this is pretty much where their side story stops until the very end. There were some good jokes about the music making process, but we feel like the show's already done that a lot in the past. Doesn't mean they still can't be pretty funny.
I think we've earned today's Wait, what? Brian, I want you to make love to us.
So after all this time messing around without so much as a tune, what is this song gonna sound like? Well, we don't hear it until the very end, so let's pause on that story now and pivot towards what we consider to be the much more engaging plot, revolving around Chris and Peter going trick-or-treating against Lois's wishes. So things kick off with Lois doing all the decorations by herself and expressing her fatigue over the holiday.
Used to be just for kids. Dress up, get some candy, but now grown-ups have hijacked it.
I see what you're saying, Lois, but as a grown-up, good. I should be allowed at least one night out of the year where I can wear the tightest spandex possible and not get put on some kind of neighborhood watch list. But we understand her frustrations, because this is just the first Noel all over again, with her being the only one putting in the effort. But unlike her, Chris is very excited for the holiday and has a couple of different options for costumes to choose from.
I'm sexually charged lesbian conductor Lydia Tarr.
Yeah, I'm not sure people will get that.
Hey, nerdy cinephiles like us will. And really, aren't they the ones you're trying to impress the most on Halloween? Hoping to see a few Bobs out there this year. Though it is a little weird that most of his costumes revolve around conductors from movies, Brian and Stewie think he nailed his third choice.
Oh, well, there's your winner, Chris.
Amazing! The fat thighs, misshapen breasts.
Only that's not Chris. He's actually dressed up as a guy from a cartoon I have not seen and yet probably has 3 seasons already. It's too bad Meg doesn't really get any play in this episode. Then again, last time she had a starring role in a Halloween episode, it did not play out well for her. But I'm fresh out of bleach for my eyes, so thanks for sparing us this year, Meg. But Chris finally does nail down a costume, just not before we get what's probably my favorite cutaway in the whole episode.
We now return to Abbott and Costello Elementary.
Sure, it's just a parody of Abbott and Costello's famous Who's on First skit, but that doesn't make it any less funny.
Mr. Absent.
Here.
Mr. Here.
Present.
Mr. Yep.
Yo.
Ms. Yo.
Yep.
Mr. Present. Mr. Present.
Sure, maybe it's not the most original cutaway, but Family Guy cut their teeth on old references, and I'm glad they still found a way to make them hit all these years later. Anyway, back to the main story, Chris finally lands on his Halloween costume, the ghost of Travis Kelce. Very topical of him, and also very brave to put himself in the crosshairs of the Swifties like that. But surprisingly, Lois said Chris won't be trick-or-treating this year.
You are too old to go trick-or-treating. You're in high school, for God's sake.
Yeah, he should be at a party making a lifelong bad decision. Oh wait, he already did that. Trick-or-treating might actually be the safest bet for him. What is the most appropriate age to stop trick-or-treating at, though? Let us know in the comments if you have any strong opinions on that. Luckily for Chris, this is the one night out of the decade that Peter actually goes out of his way to hang out with him.
You and I are going trick-or-treating.
But Mom said...
I'm not afraid of your mom, Chris.
Which is exactly why they're having this conversation in secret, in the dark, while whispering. And if Lois has a problem with that, well, Peter probably knows where he'll be sleeping tonight. But hey, this means we get a fun father-son adventure. Well, father-son and what Chris could consider his 3 drunk uncles.
Oh, cool. You guys are doing Sister Act.
No, we're doing the town. We just couldn't find any toy guns or old lady masks.
Well, he's got the New England accent down, so that's probably close enough. Oh hey! Looks like Dennis did come back with Bruce after the events of the Fat Lotus. It's shocking to see how quickly Bruce has moved on from... gosh, what's his name? Whatever, let's just call him Sharkbait. Sharkbait! And it turns out this whole night is just gonna be one big lie to all the guys' wives. They're just going to the game. What game? The game. You know the one. Quagmire doesn't have a wife though, so I guess telling his Alexa is the next best thing.
Alexa, I'm going to the game with the guys later.
I heard you're going to be gay with the guys later.
Close enough. I mean, Bruce and Dennis did love their Sister Act costume, and Halloween is the one night out of the year you can be anything. So go ahead and queen out with the guys, Glenn. So Chris and Peter are finally getting some father-son quality time, which means they get a chance to talk about all the things fathers and sons talk about.
Because one day, we're all gonna have sex robots built to our own specifications and never leave our rooms.
Oh, believe me, Chris is probably already counting down the days. You know, these two are way more alike than they probably realize. I'm not saying this is what fathers and sons should be bonding over, but hey, at least they have something. But back at the house, Lois and the other wives start putting their collective brain cells together and realize some similarities between their husbands' stories.
Joe told me he was going to the game.
Cleveland told me the same thing.
Wait, are you telling me the guys are hanging out? Well, that just doesn't sound right at all. Seriously, this kind of feels like a weak way to get the girls clued into the plot, right? Couldn't have had them find the receipt for 4 nun costumes lying around or something? Oh well, we don't get paid to write Family Guy, we get paid to write about Family Guy. Way more honorable if you ask us. And when the guys are driving home, they end up running into a little trouble with some hoodlums who are taking the holiday way too seriously. I'm not sure who those guys are, but I'm sure the reveal of their identities will shock the nation.
You are going to die.
Yeah, it's pretty obvious where the story's going, but let's just play along for now. So these masked figures chase the guys into the woods where they eventually come across a remote cabin owned by a woman in a very inviting mask.
Good evening, ma'am. Trick or treat, and we're about to be murdered. Could we please use your phone?
Really teaching the kids bad trick-or-treat etiquette here, Peter. You never go into a stranger's house, unless it looks really, really cool. Like, see, she's offering them hot chocolate. And as we all know, chocolate would never hurt us, so there's no harm in taking a sip.
How did you like it? Blurry Chris 1 and 2?
Oh no! This is the exact opposite thing they wanted to happen. So the guys wake up to a scene that looks like they're about to be hacked to pieces, so they apologize to the universe for lying to their wives. And trust me, you're never gonna guess who's been under the mask this whole time.
Sorry? Well...
That's all I wanted to hear.
Oh, I thought it was gonna be Matthew Lillard again. My mistake. So let me get this straight. The wives got together, drove their husbands and Chris off the road, totaled their car, and then were lucky enough that they stumbled towards a nearby cabin they also just so happen to have access to. There's cartoon logic, and then there's shut your brain down and dumb it straight into the trash logic. We like the idea of the wives scaring the husbands as payback, even if it makes the whole payoff a bit predictable. But there are just so many coincidences that would have had to line up for their plan to work like this, and what would have happened if they just died when they drove off the road? Maybe that wasn't the plan, but the cabin in the woods suggests that was their intention. Conceptually, we like where this story was going, as this whole ordeal reignites Lois's Halloween spirit, but the execution just felt a tad too sloppy. But who cares about that, because now we finally get to hear Stewie and Brian's Halloween song.
It's Stewie's spooky Quahog nightmare dance.
Yeah, it's just fine. We don't think this one will be making it into your Halloween playlist, but we still always like it when the show has a new song to throw at us. You think writing a coherent episode is hard? Try writing a song that's even halfway decent. At least the song leads to a lot of cool, spooky imagery, even reimagining the characters as monsters.
And Meg!
Yep, and also Meg. These visuals are awesome! We just wish they maybe played more of a role in the story itself. Seeing Quahog invaded by monsters would be incredible, but we guess we'll just have to wait until next year. So, final thoughts. The comedy this go-around felt noticeably stronger than the last special, as many gags like the Abbott and Costello Elementary cutaway and Stewie and Brian's brainstorming are all pretty chuckle-worthy. The Peter and Chris side plot definitely captured a bit of that Halloween spirit, but overall, this wasn't anything too amazing. The narrative gets really rushed and sloppy by the end, while the Stewie and Brian story kinda just feels like a rehash of past ideas. It's certainly watchable and capable of giving you a good time, but it probably won't be your new favorite Halloween special. Oh well, we're still crossing our fingers that the Arbor Day special knocks it out of the park.